My name is Johnny G. Hurtado. I was born in Santa Paula, California, and I decided to enlist. And back then, the draft board was right next to the college. That time in 1970, and it didn't take long, since the grades I was getting were not that good, that they called me and said I was to go and get a physical in LA prior to being sent to Fort Ord, California. Once I was in Fort Ord, went through my basic training for 8 weeks and learned quite a bit. And then I was given a leave for about a week and then sent to Fort Eustis, Virginia for advanced training. So we landed in Vietnam. I went in country at Cam Ranh Bay in the south. And it was a pretty rude awakening because the first day, the NVA had just rocketed the area and blew up the swimming pool. I was already getting familiar with the flight line procedures, and a new colonel was coming into the company to take over. And at that time, the unit was 12th Combat Headquarters Company Aviation Group. And finally, when Lieutenant Colonel Dugan came in, I was going to be his door gunner. And finally, they said to be careful with him because he was more of a go-getter, and that he would, if there was any problems, that he would get into the thick of the fight, which kind of scared me at the time because I really hadn't seen any action other than a few, things from the distance. And once we went in, and he got familiar, and we went on one of our first missions, and I still hadn't really seen any action until about a month after in country, and we flew into an area that was being sieged by NVA regiments, and as we got closer, I could see small arms fired and artillery rounds and what was going on. But it was still far enough that we were safe until we started getting down to about 2,000 feet and started getting more small arms and sporadic fire. And then I started to realize that we were going to go in to see what was going on and get closer. And I wasn't ready for it because I have never been shot at, and I never thought about it that well. And even all the training in the world doesn't get you ready for the things that you might see. And once the colonel, sure enough, as he went down to about 500 feet, that's when the 50 caliber anti-aircraft fire and the 20 millimeter mic were going off at us. And that's when I realized that okay, this could be it. And I remember panicking and letting go of my M60. And with the evasive maneuvers that they were doing, the pilot and the colonel, it was turning to my angle on the right-hand bank turn and exposing me fully to enemy gunfire. Well, at this time, I'm already wondering that I think this is going to be it, that I'm not even going to see my first mission completed, and I could see the enemy ground fire coming up at us, and when you're receiving 50 caliber fire at that angle, it looked like somebody's throwing a football that's on fire at you. And I remember hearing the distinctive cracks when they were going through our helicopter. And I said to myself, I go, if this is going to be it, how do I want to die? Do I want to die scared, a coward, or do I at least try and help the rest of the crew in the helicopter and do something about it? So slowly, I started raising up my left hand to the gun grip, and that's when I was peering over. I leaned forward to peer over to the edge of the helicopter so I could see where this shooting was coming from again. And as I did that, then I leaned forward and I grabbed with my right hand the other side of the grip, and that's when I said, it's either now or never. And I started returning fire to the gun emplacements and the anti-aircraft fire that was being directed at us, and started to making them get out of the way and watch out, and did what I had to do. And luckily we made it out of that mission, but with little wear and tear. And I grew up that day. Distinguished Flying Cross. This picture here is when I got my Distinguished Flying Cross, when Colonel Dugan presented it to me, along with the crew chief, Hanson. And this is another picture of the helicopter, Blackjack 835. And when you stay on something like this for a whole year, you don't forget them numbers or the name that easily. So that's Mr. J.C. Penny, that was the crew chief, and his last name was Penny. I call him J.C. for the stories that we had back here at home, the J.C. Penny, sir. And hell of a good pilot. This picture here is of the group of guys I was with there, and most of them made it home. Last I remember, most of them made it home. And I'm in the middle there with a hat in my hand, and you can see I'm this guy right here. Pretty good bunch of guys I'll really be with. That was in Long Bend, a place called Plantation, and right by a place called Red Carpet also for aircraft and stuff. That's all I can think of right now.